All right, so today we're diving into some really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
It's all about mindset shifts, but
Uh,
with a kind of unique spin on it.
yeah.
We're looking at it through the lens of Indigenous perspectives.
Okay.
And you know how those can offer a fresh take on creating a better world?
Yeah.
So you shared this article from Barai Mall that's First Nations entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
and the title really grabbed me.
Right.
Changing your mindset can be the first step to creating a better world for everyone.
Wow.
And it's not like your typical self-help stuff.
No.
It's something different for sure.
I think what's so fascinating about this article is that it doesn't just like throw out these
Hey.
feel-good phrases, about
Yeah.
mindset and stuff. It really digs into the core differences
Yeah,
between how Western and indigenous cultures think.
it really does.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize
Um,
how much our default way of thinking is shaped by
Right.
where we come from,
Totally.
our background.
For example, the article points out that Western thought it often really emphasizes individual achievement
Hmm.
and competition.
Oh, yeah.
That whole climbing the ladder thing.
Oh, yeah, like it's all about getting ahead.
Yeah.
Even if it means that somebody else loses.
Yeah.
But the article contrasts this with Indigenous thinking,
Right.
where it's really focused on the well-being of
Mm-hmm.
the entire community.
Their community.
Yeah, present and future generations.
Mm.
It's just a totally different way of looking at things.
It's like zooming out to see the bigger picture.
Totally.
Yeah.
And speaking of a different way of looking at things,
Yeah.
the article outlines 5 key mindset shifts
Okay.
that are inspired by Indigenous thinking.
Interesting.
The first one
Yeah.
really jumped out at me.
Okay.
It was moving from individualism
Huh.
to a community focus.
It's almost like a radical idea
Yeah.
in our world, right?
Doesn't it?
It is.
Especially now,
It-
with everything that's going on.
Yeah, and the article highlights how in indigenous cultures they see themselves as interconnected, as part of a web of relationships.
It makes me think of that proverb, that African proverb.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to go fast, go alone.
Right.
If you want to go far, go together.
I love that one.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, you might be able to achieve some quick wins by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but for lasting change, you need that collective power.
Exactly. And the article even applies this to business.
Really?
Yeah. It talks about how there are companies out there
Interesting.
that are prioritizing, building strong relationships with their employees, their customers, because they realize that their success is tied to the well-being of those around them.
It makes you wonder if maybe we've been looking at success all wrong.
Perhaps, yeah.
The second mindset shift the article talks about is moving away from material wealth
Right.
and status
Mhm.
and instead focusing on community impact. And it's not saying money is bad or
Right.
anything,
Right.
but it's more about challenging us to think about our legacy.
Yeah.
What are we leaving behind?
That's a good point.
You know what truly matters
Mhm.
at the end of the day?
I think we all have those moments where we get so caught up in that
Oh,
the
yeah.
keeping up with the Joneses mentality,
Yeah, totally.
And this shift is like a wake-up call
It is.
to remember what really brings fulfillment.
I agree.
Yeah.
What actually brings us joy?
It's about shifting from asking what can I get
Oh, wow.
to what can I give.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And the article suggests that finding joy in contributing to something larger than yourself
Yeah,
is a far more sustainable path to happiness.
totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about community over individual
Yes.
and impact over material wealth.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next big mindset shift?
Well, the third one dives into decision-making. It advocates for a move from hierarchies to consensus building.
So that sounds ideal
Yeah,
in theory,
right.
but I can also see how it could get messy,
Mm.
especially in a fast-paced environment,
Right.
in a business environment.
Yeah.
How do indigenous communities
Yeah, that's a great question.
make sure things actually get done?
Yeah, and the article actually addresses that.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't shy away from those challenges at all.
Okay.
It really emphasizes open communication, active listening,
Mm-hmm.
a willingness to find solutions that work for everyone.
It's interesting to think about how this approach could transform workplaces.
Yeah,
Imagine feeling like you're actually part of the decision making
right.
rather than just following orders from the top.
It can be really empowering.
Yeah, for sure.
And it ties in nicely with the fourth mindset shift the article explores,
Okay.
moving from control and competition
Mm-hmm.
to collaboration and equality.
Okay, that's a big one.
It is.
We're practically programmed to compete
Right.
from the moment we go to school.
Yeah.
How do we unlearn that?
Well, it starts with questioning those assumptions,
Okay.
right? Is winning always the ultimate goal?
Yeah.
Can we achieve more by working together rather than against each other?
You know, I've always been a pretty competitive person,
Yeah.
but I'm starting to see the beauty in collaboration.
Yeah.
How different perspectives
Uh-huh.
actually can lead to more innovative solutions.
And that's exactly what the article drives home. It argues that a win-win mentality not only benefits individuals, but it creates a more just and equitable society.
Because when everybody has a seat at the table,
Right.
everybody has an opportunity to thrive.
Exactly.
So that brings us to the fifth
Right.
and final mindset shift that the article presents,
Okay.
embracing a long-term perspective.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That one hits close to home for me. I'm definitely guilty of getting caught up in the immediacy of things.
It's so easy to do.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, I should be saving for retirement,
Right.
but that new gadget is calling my name.
We are constantly bombarded with messages
We are.
that encourage instant gratification.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But the article reminds us that a long-term perspective is crucial,
Right.
not just for our personal well-being, but for the sustainability of our planet.
It's like that classic marshmallow experiment.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Choosing one marshmallow now
Yeah.
or waiting and getting two later.
Yeah,
It's about delaying gratification.
exactly.
Understanding that some things are worth waiting for.
It's so hard, though,
It is.
Right.
It's really hard,
especially in today's world.
especially now.
Yeah.
And the article highlights how Indigenous cultures have always had this long-term view.
Right.
They see themselves as stewards of the land, responsible for ensuring its well-being
Yeah.
for future generations.
It's powerful.
It's a powerful way to look at it.
Yeah.
And it's not just about us.
It's not.
It's about the legacy that we leave behind.
I like that.
So we've covered a lot of ground,
Yeah.
these 5 mindset shifts.
Yeah.
From individual to community, material wealth to impact,
Yeah.
hierarchies to consensus,
Right.
control and competition to collaboration and equality, and from short-term focus to long-term vision.
That's a lot.
It's a lot to absorb, for sure.
Yeah.
What I think is so striking is how these seemingly simple shifts can have such profound implications for how we live our lives and
Right.
how we shape the world around us.
It really is food for thought.
It is.
It is.
So let's pause here for a moment.
Right.
Let these ideas sink in.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we'll delve into what these shifts really mean for you
Okay.
and how you can start applying them in your own life. Welcome back to our deep dive into mindset shifts for a better world. You know, before the break, we were exploring these 5 powerful shifts inspired by Indigenous thinking. And I gotta say, it's really got me thinking about how these ideas could actually play out in my own life.
Yeah, that's where the real magic happens, right? When we move from
Yeah.
theory to practice. And you're right, there's a lot to unpack here. But remember, it's about progress, not perfection.
Right. We don't have to become enlightened gurus overnight.
Exactly.
Small changes can have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So let's get personal here. Out of those 5 shifts, which one really resonated with you?
You know, the one that keeps coming back to me is the shift from a short-term to a long-term focus.
Okay.
You know, it's so easy to get caught up in the immediacy of everything, you know?
Yeah.
But this shift is a constant reminder for me to consider the consequences of my actions, you know, not just for myself, but for the future, you know, for everyone.
Yeah, that's a big one. And it really speaks to the wisdom of Indigenous cultures, right? Who have always viewed themselves as caretakers of the land for future generations. But I'm curious, what is it about that particular shift that makes it stand out for you?
I think for me, it's about recognizing that we're part of something much larger than ourselves. You know, it's about understanding that our choices today will shape the world our children and grandchildren inherit. And, you know, it's a heavy responsibility, but also incredibly motivating.
Yeah, it really challenges you to think beyond your own little bubble, doesn't it? And I'm wondering, what about you listening in? Which shift really sparked something for you, and why? What is it about that shift that makes you want to explore it further? I mean, we've talked about these shifts in a broad sense, but I think it's important to ground them in reality. You know, how can we actually apply these ideas in our daily lives?
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the concepts,
Right.
but how do we make them tangible?
You know, I was thinking the same thing. I love the idea of moving from control and competition to collaboration and equality.
Yeah.
But, you know, my work environment is pretty cutthroat.
Okay.
How do I balance like the need to be competitive with this new way of thinking?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, and I don't think there are any easy answers.
Right.
But what if we start by simply being more aware of those competitive instincts?
Okay.
You know, instead of automatically jumping into a win-lose mindset,
Yeah.
could we pause and ask ourselves, is there a way to approach this situation where everyone benefits?
So maybe it's less about making radical changes overnight and more about like shifting our perspective little by little.
Yeah.
Like instead of always trying to be the loudest voice in the room, maybe I could focus on actively listening to
Right.
and amplifying the voices of those who are often overlooked.
Exactly. And that's a perfect example of how we can start to embody that shift towards collaboration and equality.
Mm-hmm.
It's about those small conscious choices we make each day.
That's like building a new muscle. The more we practice these shifts, the stronger and more natural they become. But I do think it helps to have resources and guidance along the way. Speaking of which, didn't the Bariamal website offer some courses on this very topic?
They do. They have free courses on Indigenous entrepreneurship and mindset development.
Wow, that's incredible. So not only are they sharing these powerful ideas, but they're also providing practical tools to help people put them into action. It's like they're saying, we believe in this so much, we want to empower you to live.
It's a testament to the power of walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
For sure. So if you're feeling inspired and want to delve deeper into these concepts, I highly recommend checking out their courses. It's a chance to not only learn about Indigenous perspectives, but also to connect with a community of like-minded individuals who are committed to creating positive change.
It's a reminder that we're not alone in this.
Right.
There are so many people out there who share these values
Yeah.
and are working towards a better future.
And that's the beauty of collective action, right? When we come together, even small changes can create a ripple effect that extends far beyond ourselves. It's not about achieving some kind of individual enlightenment. It's about creating a world where everyone can thrive.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to the question we posed earlier. If changing the world starts with changing ourselves, what one small shift will you make today?
Let that question really sink in. And when we come back for the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore how to turn those intentions into real-world impact.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We've been exploring these really powerful mindset shifts inspired by Indigenous thinking. And
It's amazing.
yeah, it really is. I'm really starting to see how much potential they hold for creating a better world.
It's been a fascinating journey, hasn't it?
It really has. We've talked about the core differences between, Western and Indigenous approaches to thinking.
Right.
And how those differences really play out in real life.
Yeah.
And we've even challenged ourselves to think about how we can start living these shifts in our own lives. But, I think it's important to say that this work, this mindset work,
Oh, yeah.
it's not always easy.
It's not.
It's like we're trying to like flex a muscle that we haven't used in a while.
Yeah, right.
It takes effort.
It does.
It takes consistency and a willingness to really challenge our old habits and beliefs.
Absolutely.
We can't expect to completely transform our thinking overnight. Right?
No, it's a process.
It's a journey.
Yeah, it's a journey of learning and growth.
It's like learning a new language. At first, it's awkward and unfamiliar.
Right.
You're stumbling over the words.
Totally.
You're making mistakes.
But with practice,
Yeah.
it gets easier.
It becomes more natural.
Yeah.
And just like learning a new language can open up all these new worlds and possibilities, embracing these mindset shifts can really expand how we understand ourselves, our communities, and really the interconnectedness of everything.
That's a good point.
One thing that's really hit me during this deep dive is that it's not about just completely rejecting Western thought.
Oh, right.
It's not about throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing the limitations of our current ways of thinking and finding ways to integrate the wisdom of these Indigenous perspectives. It's about finding that balance between competition and collaboration, between individual ambition and the well-being of the community, between short-term gains and long-term sustainability.
Right.
It's about creating a world where everyone can thrive.
Exactly.
Not just a select few.
That's the goal.
And realizing that we all have a role to play
We do.
in making that happen.
Yeah.
And so it brings us back to that question that we've been thinking about this whole time. If changing the world starts with changing ourselves, what one small shift will you make today?
What action, no matter how small,
Yeah.
will you take to align your life
Yeah.
with those values that we've been talking about.
Maybe it's reaching out to somebody you haven't spoken to in a while
Yeah.
and really making an effort to understand their point of view.
That's a good one.
Or maybe it's learning more
Mm-hmm.
about the history and culture of the indigenous people whose land you're on.
That's important.
Or maybe it's just taking a moment to pause,
Yeah.
breathe,
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the interconnectedness of everything,
Right.
and recognize that your actions, no matter how small,
Yeah.
have a ripple effect.
They do.
That goes way beyond yourself.
They really do.
Whatever shift you choose,
Yeah.
remember that you're not alone
You're not.
on this journey.
No.
There are so many people out there
Mm-hmm.
who want a better world
Right.
and are working towards it
Yeah.
in their own way. And when we come together
Mm-hmm.
with that shared vision
Yeah.
and commitment to positive change,
Uh-huh.
we can create a future
Mm-hmm.
that is more just and equitable and sustainable for everyone.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive
Yeah.
into mindset shifts for a better world.
We hope you leave feeling inspired
Yeah.
and empowered.
And ready to make a difference.
Until next time, keep diving deep
Yes.
and keep exploring the power of your own mind.